And now we are going to take a look at the engagement guide that it was put together by Salt Lake City. And most cities might not have a community engagement plan. Maybe the larger cities will have a community engagement plan. So Salt Lake City has one. And these are just some guides about what has been learned in the past, about engaging the public, and this was put together by the civic engagement team. So this is not part of the planning division, but like all departments in the city are advised through the civic engagement team, who encourages participation of best practices and supports other city departments in their public engagement projects and leads city-wide engagement efforts. It was established in 2012, the city engagement team, and is part of community and neighborhood departments. And their mission is to build capacity of constituents and the city to engage one another through stewardship of city values and cultivation of best practices to achieve vision for engagement or for engaged city. The civic engagement team does this by working with each department to build their civic engagement capacity, define minimum standards for public outreach, and serve as a one-stop for civic support or any city project or any city initiative. So if you end up working with Salt Lake City, then you will very closely use this civic engagement guide and seek the advice of the Salt Lake City civic engagement team. So I just want you to look at the guide that they prepare. So a lot of the issues that we already have discussed in class are part of this guide. So it's like basically what are your goals in terms of participation, what are you trying to do? Some questions that you need to ask yourself. For example, what is the scope of the project? What are the project goals, deliverables, tasks, deadlines? Who will be affected by the outcome? What level of engagement is needed? And then in terms of like which level of engagement is needed, they actually list consulting and involving and collaboration. So they, as you can see, they didn't include the inform and also more empower from the International Association of Public Participation, because these ones are the most popular ones. And of course, we always have to inform the public, and that's not included as participation as we defined in previous chapter. So the participation is a two-way communication, not a one-way communication like inform would be. So then you will think about consulting, informing, or collaborating, and they had a very nice chart that it shows which one is appropriate, just depending on the kind of project that you are developing. For example, if it's a minor city project, so maybe this is something more related to a new construction, a particular site or development, you would just do consultation. So that's through like the regular public hearing, and there might be some more specific, like getting emails from people and doing the open house, those kinds of things. Then we have the new project or program expansion or change. So for example, if you wanted to extend the tracks, or if you wanted to expand the design guidelines that exist right now within like Sugar House or just a specific neighborhoods into another neighborhoods, then you need to involve the public. And here we're talking about more like doing surveys and things that you can get feedback from the community. Maybe it's like more of a workshop or community meeting. Collaborate is said, well, maybe we can do that. And then we have like a land use decision. So maybe that's like similar to creating the homeless resource centers, text amendments, and it was like for this conditional use of something that didn't exist before. So we needed to definitely consult and also like involve the public, maybe do collaboration. And when it says maybe, that most likely will not happen. Unless the issue is like really controversial. Even then, as an example that I gave already with the homeless resource center, that maybe many times it transforms into a no, because of resources constraints or because of other reasons. But then we have like when a new law is created, or we can have like the master's plans being an example, then you will do all these things. You will consult, involve, and collaborate. Then you have the decision-making process. Just talk about what you need to do first, what you do second, and what are the public needs. As an example, we have here like first you have to define what is the problem, opportunity, or decision that you need to make, and then you need to the public, in order to be effective in their participation, they have to have a clear understanding of the scope of the decision. So when they come to a planning meeting, the scope of the decision is like how tall is the building, is it allowed to be taller than is currently allowed through a conditional use permit. It is not whether or not the building will be built. It's like how tall or massive it is, or maybe we're looking at the design. So it's important the public understands what is the decision being made. It is not, if it's zoned as like that you can have like housing there and also commercial and somebody owns it, it is zoned for that, so it is allowed. The question is like is whether or not you can get the conditional use permit to be taller or not, or to be more closer to the street and having like a lower or smaller setback. So the public needs to understand that that's why they went to the meeting. Those are the comments that you are accepting. You're not accepting whether or not we could have housing with commercial in that particular site. And there's more examples given. You can look at it on your own in the guide. Then we have like this idea of like what are the methods that you're going to choose, which ones will work best and for what. It gives you some best examples or best practices. And there's like very specific things for the city. For example, when I should get the word out. So creating an advertising timeline is important when considering engagement events. Advertising events well in advance, so minimum of 2 weeks, with ongoing reminders. And the civic engagement and Salt Lake City TV can help you to post them in Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Nextdoor. So there's some guidance there specifically about some of the guidelines that the city has. And we have looked before at when there's like an application, let's say for a conditional use permit, or many other applications that take place, you have like give like 45 days to the community council to respond, and there's this particular times. We already have looked at that. So you have to look at what are the regulations in your city. You cannot, it's never a good idea to say we're going to invite the public just 3 days before. The guidelines might be like 2 weeks for a particular reason, so you give people plenty of time to actually be able to make the arrangements that they need to make, like childcare or whatever it is, so they can get there. Even if the issue is controversial and you're like trying to avoid to get too many people in the meeting, and you never should try to be doing that. But the point being is that there's regulations. You can be giving only 3 days for people because you're not planning well.